We don't show prep. So, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a 6-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real put alive from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Morning After 6 Rings Kane Show, joined by my guys, Larry Bluestein. DJ, how's it going, guys?
Good.
Yeah, it is.
A win is a win is a win.
It is state championship day.
Yeah.
Lock that up. We'll get into that. We'll talk about the game, obviously, break that down. But first, one of our sponsors, You Brake Wheel Fix. Are you constantly losing air in your tires? Does your steering wheel shake? There's a possibility that it's actually your wheels that are the problem, and You Brake Wheel Fix is your solution. You Brake Wheel Fix is Miami's premier wheel repair and restoration company. They have over 20 years of experience. They can do quick repairs on damaged wheels, and if something takes longer, they'll get you a loaner. If your wheels are looking weathered, you're thinking about buying some new ones, they'll actually freshen them up for you to look just like new. They have in-house powder coating, machining, polishing, and it'll make everything look great, just like it came out of the factory. Contact Mark and his staff at 305-748-0112 and follow them on all socials at You Brake Wheel Fix. And if you mention 5 reasons, you'll get 5.5% off your next repair. That's You Brake Wheel Fix, located at 1848 Northeast 143rd Street in North Miami, Florida. You Brake Wheel Fix, powder coating, and wheel repair. All right, guys. So, I have a lot to unpack here from this game. The spread was in the low 20s. The Canes covered it. Kind of never felt like in danger of losing the game, except there appears to be some consternation among the fan base, which is kind of odd. I guess I'll start with Blue. What are your initial impressions on yesterday's game?
Yeah, the fans need to kind of like pack it up a little bit. Come on. I mean, it was, no matter how bad everybody perceived FSU, it's still a rival game, and still, these are guys who still recruit against Miami and still have players. It's just, from a defensive standpoint, I think that people underestimated, because they have team speed and they get after you and they have a game plan, and they were 13-1 last year. So this is nothing new to them. It's just that personnel wise on offense, they just didn't have it. And, any fan that feels otherwise needs to kind of step back a little bit because, this is a game that I've seen since like the early 60s that never, nothing was ever, in concrete. And, in a couple of pregame things that I did, they ask you about your favorite game and, the wide rights and the wide lefts. And I think that probably something poignant about this series is that back in 1988, Florida State was returning 18 starters. They were preseason number 1. They were a 4-point favorite in the Orange Bowl against number 6 Miami and ended up losing 31-0. So it just shows you that no matter what in a series like this, that you've got to, and you know, sometimes you have that coach speak where the coach says, oh, wow, they're tough and we got to watch out for them. You know, you kind of, and Mario, last night in the press conference, the post-game press conference, alluded that. He says, you guys, meaning the media, he says, you minimize what we talk about. And even though we won that game handily, he says, you know, you got to respect every opponent. You know, he says, we're coming off a 500, you know, type of year. So we can't just go into any game, no matter which game it is. And, you know, at the end of the day, you're 8-0. And, you know, heading to a noon kickoff next Saturday against Duke, a team that's pesky. And, you know what? And then you got Georgia Tech, you got Wake Forest and Syracuse. And if you take them one game at a time, I think Miami should be favored in every game. So to me, I just think it was a perfect night for football. A lot of, you know, other than the rivalry, it was homecoming. It was Ray Lewis did a dance before the game with the mascot. And the crowd was awesome. And that was the one thing that Cam Ward said in the post game. He said, unbelievable. He said, this is the first time I ever took part in this. You know, I was in the Apple Cup. Same thing with Martinez saying, you know, I was in the Civil War, and that's crazy. You know, Oregon State. He said, but I'll tell you what, he says, you know, God bless our fans. They came out. And if you saw this, you know, you were there. It was one of those games that the 150 recruits, 50 very top ones, had an opportunity to see for themselves. And, you know, that's one of those games that you come away with. And, you know, you look at and we saw some of the recruits downstairs after the game and had a chance to kind of converse with them a little bit. And they were impressed with what they saw.
Yeah, I think Miami's big game atmosphere is underrated. Everyone likes to, you know, oh, it's a noon kick against Wake Forest, and you know, there's 40,000 in the stands instead of 70 or 80 that would be there at like a big public school. But I think people get surprised then when it's a big game and the fans show out and how crazy the atmosphere gets. And I guess
and it was
the recruits and some of our first year players experienced that.
Yeah.
DJ, what are your initial takeaways from last night's win?
Kind of like what Blue said, everybody was upset about, oh, you know, we didn't blow out Florida State, but anything could happen on any given Saturday in college football. This was a talented Florida State team with pieces defensively. Offensively, they definitely need a little bit of work, but they have a piece that they can build around in their quarterback, Luke Kromenhoek, a former Elite 11 quarterback. I think if they just get some help around him, he's going to be really, really good. And, you know, I think, you know, we talked – you know, last week about, you know, can Miami win in different ways? And can Miami, you know, are they a one-dimensional passing team, or can they rely on the running game? And I thought last night they did a good job of establishing the running game. They got Fletcher involved early, and they got a great game from Martinez as well. So I really like the fact that they were able to establish the ground game and show that they could win in different ways, and show that, you know, they're not just a flashy passing offensive team, but they could also play that grinded out type of game. And I know everybody wanted Miami to win 60-10, but I was happy with last night's game just because it showed some different things that we maybe haven't seen, such as the ground game and the ability to kind of control the game throughout.
Yeah, that you make a good point, because when I don't think Miami's had that game where if somebody shuts down one of their avenues, like their total passing game, where they could do other things and that's what the great teams do. You know, that's what the Ohio States and the Alabamas and programs do. And I think that's the first time that they showed that if somebody shuts something down, because listen, let's face it. I mean, the team goes how Restrepo goes. I mean, he's a big play kid. He makes, he stretches out the defense a little bit to give all the rest of the offense, an opportunity. So I agree with you, DJ. They were resourceful in what they did. And, Vish, you were 100% right. They were never in doubt of losing. But, they were pushed. And that's something that obviously – maybe not the rest of this season, but maybe into the postseason, they're going to get pushed back, and their secondary is going to need to step up. And, I mean, that's the one thing that I think is still a glaring weakness, their defensive secondary. But other than that, I just I thought it was a satisfying win.
Yeah, it's hard to judge the defense was outstanding yesterday, but consider the competition, right? But I do think, as far as dominating an opponent, I mean, their one touchdown drive, other than the garbage time at the end, was because of that weird fourth down play where I just forgot to tackle him because FSU went for a fourth down, stopped the play, and then no one put the quarterback on his ass, and he came out the other end of the scrum and ran for 40 yards.
And Martinez did that at the end of the game too.
And that set up their only. That was the only play they made the whole game. Set up their only touchdown other than So I agree. And Fresh is commenting in the chat too. Like the secondary were light there, but they threw for 115 yards. So 11 to 32, the completion percentage. So it's not the right game to judge the defense. Again, we've been talking about how limited FSU is offensively, and that showed up. But, they really could not have played better defensively other than, again, tackling on that fourth down was really the only – otherwise, FSU doesn't score. And frankly, I feel like at the end of the first half, if the Canes are up 14-0 instead of, 14-7, might have gone for it and tried to really stick the knife in there at the end instead of kicking the field goal from inside the 5-yard line. But at that point, you have to kick the field goal because you can't go into half up one score kicking off to FSU after dominating the first half like that. So it was the right call there. But, this was actually, given that there was a garbage time touchdown, given the Canes kicked 3 field goals that after long drives, this was very this score margin was about as close as it could have been based on the way the game played out. It could have easily been what the fans were looking for, DJ, the 60-10 type of thing. If, a play or two here or there, the Canes didn't get any of the breaks and had some drive killing penalties and stuff that actually kept the score down a little bit. And one of the things we talked about in the show last week is, FSU does have they have a good scoring defense. This is only the second time they've given up over 30 points this year. Even Clemson beat them 29-13, right? I mean, and the only time they gave up more than 30 points before this game was SMU, who had a couple of defensive scores. So this is not a team that gives up a lot of scoring. They're very good in the red zone of holding it to field goals, and they kind of did that a bit here. And then, but because Miami made the running game going, they actually were able to finish drives, and then. DJ, we did have a tight end throw a touchdown pass.
DJ was.
It is National Tight End Day, DJ. So
it is.
So
celebrating accordingly.
Salutations to you.
That's funny. So DJ slept well last night.
I did.
Yeah, that was. But yeah, they had. That was funny that they had. I was last night. I mean, the press box was full. I mean, it's never been like that I remember, but most of them were NFL scouts. I happened to have been next to the Green Bay Packers, and they had the Patriots and Denver and the Jets. And it was neat to listen to them, the guy who was next to me, talk about some of the players. And the one thing, and DJ, you like this, they were talking about Arroyo, saying that this is the type of guy that gets to that next level. And because he's big, strong, athletic, they're all obviously enamored by what Ward did, and, his escapability and how he got out of that one play. And, I think they like the way Martinez ran because that's the type of guy who could play at the next level because he's a tackle-to-tackle type guy. He's not going to break a lot of, balls out. So it's just neat to listen to the perspective, because this program has really been void of NFL talent for a while, from real NFL talent. You'll have, like a Rousseau or somebody like that, kind of sneak into the draft and do well. But to just hear that Miami has so many quality pieces now. And I just thought it was, one of those games, and had the opportunity to at least, see Miami kind of get pushed a little bit, and they responded, like you said, in a positive way. So it's, and I think, as critical as the fan base is, which they should never be, I think the nation last night saw what Miami's about, because like you said, Vish, I mean, Florida State's defense has been pretty good this year, and they've, the opponents haven't been just running all over them. So I think that the very fact that Miami comes out of there and covers the spread, I think it was, 21 or something like that?
Yeah, they barely covered after that garbage time touchdown. But
yeah.
But
I just think it was one of those perfect storm type of nights. The atmosphere was great. Being on national TV, obviously they're going up against the World Series, but big deal. But yeah, it's just the and seeing, how college football has become this year, and seeing Nebraska push Ohio State at home, and seeing Vanderbilt, go down to the wire with Texas. It just shows you that on any given night, anything could happen. I mean, it's. And that's good. That's good for the game. And, it's, everybody, instead of relishing what we have and talking about the win, from what I heard last night, a lot of Hurricanes, because I was listening to Alex Dono's post-game show on the way home. And the fans are, we're going to be awful next year. What about this year? We're going to lose this guy and lose, I just think by the judging of everybody, all the recruits that were there, and a lot of people around the country who are watching Miami, and the fun type of atmosphere it is, and the kids look like they're having a lot of fun out there playing the game, you tend to get kids like that. So I think Miami will be fine. I mean, every program is going to have a drop off. Watching the Boise State UNLV game the other night, Genty's, he's really good. But, but what are you going to do?
I mean, they gave him, he averaged under 4 yards a carry.
Yeah, well,
you almost had that game, Blue.
Don't keep reminding me that game, man.
Yeah, you brought it up. I wasn't going to say anything.
I was up there. I was up till 2:30 watching that damn game. And, Boise's a better team. And if they both stay the course, they'll meet for the, in the championship game. So. Whatever.
Yeah, I know. And just like Friday's game, you had UNLV and Boise, two programs who aren't known to be at the forefront of college football, generating so much interest. I mean, you have so many different storylines this year. And to Blue's point about the drop-off, I definitely agree. But at the same time, we're seeing a player, like Cam Ward or like a Dylan Raiola at Nebraska. Getting one player could make, the difference for a team moving forward from the transfer portal. So I know a lot of fans are against that too, but getting that one player could help turn your program around during what was supposed to be a down year.
It's also though, I think it's a complete misunderstanding of what, like, Cam Ward's the best player in the country, and that matters. But I think it's a complete misunderstanding of why this Miami team is actually building versus just a one-off. Like, they've recruited the trenches really well. The skill position talent is high. You saw JoJo Trader get in there. The running back room past Martinez, Fletcher, and AJ Allen's kind of picked up that third. Still is Jordan Lyle. Still, Chris Humphrey-Wheatley hasn't played, but he's an elite recruit. There is depth and talent behind what's out there. And what took a few years to get going was the trenches, because that's where you got to build strength and conditioning and really kind of upgrade that talent level. And that's why they were able to push Florida State around. And for those calling in, and I don't know what game they wanted. I guess they just wanted to see us throw more. Like, I don't even know because you outgained the opponent by over 200 yards. You win comfortably. I mean, when is good enough good enough? Like I don't. Yesterday's game in a box, just looking at that, was complete domination. So I don't know how you can come out of that. Like, we know there's deficiencies specifically in the secondary that FSU is ill-equipped to take advantage of. So it's totally reasonable to say, hey, that's still going to be a problem when we play teams that understand they invented the forward pass and you can use it. But just as a box around yesterday's game, and I don't know what you expected from anyone. They took away the passing game and so ran over them, which was the smart thing to do. And actually, I feel like probably forced the pass a little much when you're averaging 8 yards a carry a little bit. And some of those drives ended because one got killed by an offensive pass interference. And when it was kind of like, you could just turn and kept handing the ball off and ripping up your 8, 9, 10 yards a carry and just walk this into the end zone. So I can't really see any. I know our fans' general disposition is to complain about everything, but 8-0 covered the spread against your rival and really outclassed them. I mean, what else do you want to do here? Yeah, and Melissa, by the way, we have not mentioned, obviously Mark Fletcher Sr. passed away during the week. Condolences to him and his family, and it was great to see Mark Fletcher Jr. get the first touchdown, and I know he's going through a lot, so hopefully it was a brief respite the game for him.
But that in the post-game interview, that was the question that all the media asked all the players. How did this? Were you surprised that he played? And they said that he was at practice the day past, knowing that his father, and I've known Mark Fletcher Sr. for 10, 12 years because he was a youth coach, and great guy, great supportive guy. And last year, not this year, but last year before the game, they had that scrimmage at Hard Rock, and I'm all right. I'm getting old. It's a senior moment. Jazz and I were sitting in front of them and talking to him and talking to Darryl Porter's family. And yeah, you don't really know. He's a young man, and and like Mario said, he was at practice every day and came to watch the team and support everybody and always had great things to say. So, and Mario got a little bit choked up too, because of the fact that he said when you have kids from the area, their families really get involved. And so Mark Sr. was part of the family, part of the Hurricane family. And, but it was good to see, as Melissa said, that first touchdown, him pointing to the sky, and it was, it was good. And, between he had 78 yards on the ground, which was really good. And then even in the post game interview, Martinez is crediting all the running backs. He goes, "You don't understand. We all work extremely hard, and any of us could step in and do the job, at any given day." So it's, it's nice to hear that. And they all seem really happy and, and content to what's going on. And he says that everybody fights and it's a family. And listen, when you're winning, a lot of great things come out, and there's no finger pointing. There's a lot of patting on the butt and stuff like that. So, and the one thing is they're taking this, they're not looking at the playoffs and they're not looking down the road at a potential matchup. They're looking at Duke. And like last night, they didn't know what time the game would start. So Mario's going, whatever time that game starts, we're going to be ready. And again, you don't give anybody bulletin board material, and he knows that. And, saying, hey, Duke is a well-coached team. They're great defensively, and they do a lot of good, But, Duke's and Manny's going to come in here and want to do his thing. And obviously he'll watch the FSU film from a defensive standpoint, and he'll do, because I think they have a little bit better offense than FSU does. So at least they can score a few.
Slightly, if you watch them play.
No, but at least they've scored over 20 points, so, but yeah.
All right, so let's do a little. All right, I'm gonna have to do this differently. I'm about to play our sponsor. We'll do that, and then we'll talk Duke. Let's see if this works.
Guess what, everyone? Football is back, and it's here to stay until February. Did you know that you can enhance your football viewing experience with Underdog Fantasy? Join over 1 million fans across 33 states that made picks on Underdog last year. My personal favorite is the higher-lower plays on my favorite NFL players on Sunday mornings after watching the Canes win on Saturday. The website is easy to use, and the plays are easy to make. I love playing CeeDee Lamb higher rushing yards and waiting for the Cowboys to run a reverse. I never got into fantasy football because I didn't want to cheer against my own team, but with Underdog Fantasy, I can support my team by making picks for higher stat lines. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward, and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code 5REASONS. That is the word 5 reasons spelled out FIVEREASONS. And Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code 5REASONS, to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit over.
Must be 18 or over, 19 or over in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, dial 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369.
We're back.
Come off mute. Yep, we're back after the longest ad read in history. All right, so let's talk a little bit about our good friend Manny Diaz and Duke. As Melissa said, they lost in overtime last night to SMU, so that game is now at noon. Next week, don't expect a similar crowd. Let me put it that way. Those noon games are
No, jeez.
I'm being nice there. There's plenty of good seats shall be available. But as you said, Blue, I'm sure this is one that Manny's been thinking about all offseason. The schedule comes out. You know, they had to redo the scheduling again because they had 3 new teams, and then you realize he's coming back here to play. I'm sure, you know, his team will have his back and be fired up to try and win this game for him. But none of that should matter because Miami's clearly the better team, is my thinking. Blue, I guess I'll start with you here. Your thoughts on Duke a little bit.
Yeah, like I said, they're well coached, and they got some really, you know, I know a lot of the coaches that they have on the staff just from, you know, seeing them at a lot of high school events, and having the head coach from Florida A&M on their staff from last year Willie's done a great job. So yeah, I mean, they're going to come to town. They're going to shake, you know, they're going to do what they could do. It's just Miami has far superior talent than they do, and it's going to be, I'm sure, like I said a little while ago, what they're going to do is they're going to watch film. And, I think that FSU has been probably the most effective because none of the other teams were able to slow Miami down. I mean, they were averaging 500 plus a game. Yesterday, they went a little bit under it. I mean, most 99% of the teams in the country would take 462 yards. Miami's, they got the standards up. But, yeah, I just think that they're going to do what they can do to try to slow Miami down, And like I said, in FSU's case, it was, attack the receivers. And now Miami knows that if you get in a situation where someone takes that, the receivers away, the passing game away from you. And Manny's a defensive-oriented guy, so I'm sure he's going to blitz a lot. It's just tough to blitz against a guy like him unless he's standing still. If he's on the run, you're wasting your time because he's just going to do like he did in those 2 plays last night. He's going to go one way and he's going to go the other. Where you could see last night where he got sacked or where he's vulnerable is when he dropped back in the pocket. And, so he was kind of pinched in there. That was, and it's weird because like I said, a lot of those kids like Edwin from Chaminade or Omar Graham, who had a really good game from Stranahan. A lot of Earl Little's son played, most of the game at safety. So, yeah, like I said, you don't expect anything less. He's going to have, this team ready to play. But I think he really knows in his heart of hearts it's going to be tough to slow down Miami because now what they're going to have to do. And I think that Dawson showed a lot last night in adjusting, seeing that they were taking away this or taking away that, and they started running. And when they unleash everybody, and the whole thing is, I want to see some of the, get those. You see, the good thing about having a Martinez, he can get in space as a receiver too, and once he does that, and forget it. But I like you said, I think what are they gonna? They'll probably be the same 20 point, 18 to 20 point underdogs, and Miami just has to go out there and play their game.
Yeah, I also think it was good that Florida State had some success, blitzing, and because now not only does Manny have that on tape, so do we. Like, I'm sure there's going to be some pretty rough film study in terms of how to pass off. We had some miscommunications in the line where passed off some blitzers that probably shouldn't have been, and as you said, well, most of these teams have kind of been oddly, and we talked about this earlier in the season, more playing the running game, like taking that away and not really, pass blitzing and trying to disrupt our passing game. This time, FSU clearly was just, we're going to let you run, and so the team ran. But I think in this week, I'm sure Dawson's going to be working on how to make sure that we have good communication on blitz pickup and probably some blitz beaters as well. That didn't. Because a lot of those sacks and rush throws came on long yardage, obvious passing situations where FSU, sent a lot of blitzers. And theoretically, that's an opportunity offensively to pick that up and get a big play out of it, and just never really were able to do that. So I think that's, those are going to be adjustments that Dawson can now make. It's good. It's good when you have that happen in a game that you win by 22 points. And now you can be like, all right, I can clean these little things up to get even better. DJ, what are your initial thoughts on Duke?
Malik Murphy's a pretty good quarterback. I mean, he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. He had 3 touchdowns last week against SMU. And, this offense isn't going to light the world on fire, but they can get the job done. And, I think one of the things that, is going to be a big storyline heading into this week for Miami is the play of the secondary, because, Murphy can, make you pay. The Blue Devils have a couple of receivers. Eli Pankel had 130 yards last week, so they do have some playmakers. I don't expect this to be a close game. I expect Miami to take care of business, but Duke's not a team to be taken lightly. Like I said, the secondary will be a point of emphasis that I'll be watching for during the game, and I just hope they can, clean things up there, and then, continue to get to the passer, because I think if you leave Murphy some time, he can both run and pass, and he's a pretty good quarterback. So I'll be interested to see that kind of chess match that the Duke offense brings to the table.
Yeah, and that was, I think really throughout the year, the one the defense is pretty much lights out yesterday. Again, it was kind of like one busted weird play. Yeah. Other than a garbage touchdown at the end was kind of it, but. The one area where FSU was able to get some first downs, keep some drives alive, same thing we've seen on not being disciplined in the pass rush, allowing the quarterback to scramble has been an issue. We've seen it from multiple quarterbacks this year. So it's really, Malik Murphy has that ability. Duke's offense is a little bit, it's not FSU bad, but it's not. Like, they've won game. They beat FSU 23-16 with 100, and Duke had
168 yards.
Yeah. I mean, just and again, we were saying this last week. FSU's defense is not bad. That's not why they're 1-7.
No.
Yeah, and so it's not necessarily a shame on Duke that happened, but they also only put up 14 on Georgia Tech. Like, their offense has been pretty inconsistent and been very run heavy. So it's going to be important for, Miami to show up in the run defense and make sure that they, hold Duke down in that fashion. And yeah, it's a game Miami should win, obviously at home, but it's one where Duke's defense causes a lot of turnovers and mistakes. Miami's been very good about not doing that. So, we'll see. Duke has been in a lot of close games. So, But yeah, no, this all signs point to Miami. Blue, any I'm sure there are, because there always are any local kids on Duke we should be looking out for?
There's a few, not over, but nowhere near last night. But he picked a couple of kids up that he had, that he knew before, and yeah, certainly. I mean, and there's a couple of kids too that he had from Penn State area too that they kind of joined him, and nobody really, nobody it's going to, shake the earth. I mean, like you said, offensively, I mean, they survive too on the other team's mistakes. I think they're above on turnovers, so they force you to make turnovers so they get short fields. But other than that, I just I know we'll get more into it tomorrow night. On our show tomorrow, and when we have Jazz back, and
yeah, we'll do. So, Blue, you're not radio shows tomorrow night?
No, not tomorrow. Thank goodness.
Nice.
Tuesday.
All right, we're gonna have the full crew then. That'll be great. So we'll hold off on predictions till the
definitely
main show tomorrow night. But DJ, Melissa was a fan of your Blink 182 shirt here.
It's a shirt from 2001 when they had their tour.
Look at that.
And yeah,
move the camera down so she can see it.
Let's see. It's Mark Hoppus with his signature guitar.
Wow, look at that.
Hold on. We have technology.
We do have technology. There you go.
Oh, there you are. Technology.
I think he brought this one on tour again with him when they toured this year.
You went, right, DJ? Or was that last year?
I went last year, and then they toured again this year, and I also went to that one. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah, they had I did show and tell at the game last night. A friend of mine, I brought a 1970 FSU Miami program because one of the guys that I know from Rivals, he was there he covers FSU, so that was being passed around the press box all night. People are looking, oh my God, look at these guys. Nobody was living when that came, except for me. Yeah, I came across too a Boston College program against Miami when they played on campus. That was an outdoor field, and wow, that was years ago. They had looked like wooden bleachers or something.
Oof,
it probably was
way back in the day. Yeah. So, that's I've been to Chestnut Hill a couple of times. That's a really nice environment around there.
Yeah.
It's all these programs, like, you look in the ACC and a lot of these schools, it's just like I tell people, people go, Vanderbilt, I can't believe it. But think about Vanderbilt. Out of all the damn programs in the SEC, they're in the best city by far. Right?
Yeah,
they're not in like little hamlets like Hattiesburg or any of those places.
Right. No, and it's actually, when they talk about conference realignment, and I'm like, and people are like, well, it's got to be SEC or Big Ten. Like, we're definitely more. Where Big Ten is, most of their schools are in or near cities,
right?
And the SEC is very much rural. If you've ever traveled to some of these, it's like land in a major airport, drive 5 hours, and you hit the campus type of stuff. So it's very, very different. And if you look at and the ACC is also much more of an urban. There's a few like Tallahassee, even though Tallahassee's the state capital, Clemson, but those are like kind of the oddities. Virginia Tech, most of the schools are at or near, major metropolitan areas, which is why another reason I think they added Cal and Stanford and SMU, which are all in or near big cities. It's kind of, you can kind of see how the conferences kind of come together there.
And it helps because of the TV markets too. Because that's why I always said, that Orlando or Tampa even are great draws because they're in, big markets. And I think that makes a difference. People don't understand, but that makes a huge a difference. I mean, you go to Athens and maybe they get Atlanta stations, but they're still 50 miles away from Atlanta. So they're kind of in a rural area. And then, you look at Starkville. I mean, they're right in the middle of the state, in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, you're right about a lot, but you make a point about like the North Carolinas, NC State, Dukes are right there, all within Raleigh area and all that stuff like that. So, and even Virginia,
right.
I mean, and Virginia, Virginia Tech's a little remote, but Virginia,
they're kind of an outlier. Boston College is obviously in Boston.
Yeah.
Like you do get the.
Well, no, not really. Boston College is.
I mean, it's Boston metropolitan area.
Yeah.
Because then Miami's in Coral Gables, technically. No,
That's right.
If we want to get technical, DJ.
Yeah, I mean, Chestnut Hill's a little bit more tucked away, but yeah, it's pretty close to Boston.
Nice. You ever go to a Harvard game?
No, I've never been, but I want to.
Yeah, I bet you the Harvard Yale game's something to see.
I want to go to a Harvard hockey game too.
Oh,
they have a good hockey program.
They're always good.
Yeah, they are.
Actually, Boston U and all those programs.
Yeah, hockey's big up here.
Yeah.
So college hockey.
Not very big here when it's 82 degrees. So.
although they are the what was it, D3 or whatever. We have an ice hockey team that won the national championship.
Yeah, that's right.
And whatever. So they play on some. I guess there's an ice rink out on Kendall.
Is it a club team or is it a?
I think it's a club team, but they play like competitively, intercollegiately.
Oh, nice.
I want to say it's on the D3 level. Yes, and of course, the Panthers are the Stanley Cup champs. So there's some hockey down here, surprisingly.
And the Lightning, even though we're not Lightning fans, the Lightning.
No, we don't acknowledge their existence. So I guess we can wrap here by talking a little bit about where the Canes sit, nationally. A lot of the Georgia was off, but the rest of the top five most of them struggled, but one. Be interesting to see. I don't expect any change in the rankings, but it should be noted. It should be noted that in terms of playing the top 40 FPI opponents, the Canes are 4-0, which is by far the best in the country. There are teams that have played more games, but it's like Penn State's 2-0, Oregon's 2-0. A&M's 4-1 because they lost obviously a game. Bama's 4-2, so.
Well, there'll be shakeup next week because Ohio State plays.
I feel like Ohio State should definitely.
Well, let's not assume a shakeup, Blue, because we've seen these games before. Where all of a sudden, no one moved, even though there's a loss. What happened?
Ohio State
but I do think as we kind of how we started the show off about people maybe not as thrilled with blowing out FSU as I think they should be. I think, again, when we judge our team differently for whatever reason, the schedule they play is legitimate. Half the games have been on the road.
Yep.
Half the games have been against FPI top 40 teams. No one else has won 4 games and without a loss against FPI top 40 teams in the country. So, I don't know what exact standard people are trying to judge this team by, but there ain't no.
It's a ridiculous
against a real schedule because it turns out UF is not nearly as bad as we made them look.
Yeah.
They're
playing well. They got Georgia this week.
Yeah, and it turns out Virginia Tech was a lot better than we thought at the time.
Yeah,
much better.
And so all of a sudden, and then Louisville's, we knew they were good, and they're still good. And so we got going on the road and winning games at bowl teams.
Yeah.
In tough environments is a sign of a good team, and this team continues to do that over and over again. So again, I don't.
Look, it's cliche, but you play who's on the schedule. I mean, I don't get, a win is a win, and anything can happen in college football any given Saturday. I mean, if you told me, before the season started that Miami would be 8-0 right now, I'd be thrilled. So I don't know why fans want to complain, especially when you consider the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, we are a fan base of extremes. It's either we expect to win every game by 100 or we expect to lose every game by 100. Yeah. So this is where we're at. But DJ, to your point, we play who's on the schedule, but I think the mistake people are making is underrating who's been on our schedule. These are not easy games to I don't know that there are very, very few teams that would be 8-0 on the schedule right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Including some of the teams ranked ahead of us who've already managed to lose games. And, they've gotten some of the teams in front of us got passes for Kentucky is god awful. And Georgia
almost lost one.
Georgia almost lost one, but that doesn't matter, right? So I get that's how the national narrative is going to go, but we should not judge our team by that standard and just enjoy this ride. We got eight more wins to a national championship. That's the goal. 8 more, halfway there.
Yeah. It could happen.
8 more. No, this team is good enough to do that. It actually is.
Yeah.
Not because the defense is perfect. We know there's weaknesses there, but because no one is perfect. We're not playing the 2001 Canes this year. We're playing the other teams in college football, and they all have flaws, and they've all shown those flaws.
Mm.
So this is the same. It's the same for Miami. Yeah, we're not perfect. No one is. Although our record, however, is perfect. Blue, we got some show and tell to wrap up here. Or you want to
I
save
didn't
that for
actually bring anything
tomorrow? You
today.
save that for tomorrow.
I'm saving it for I just
All right.
Okay.
I could have shown the Florida State thing from last week, but no, I'll wait till tomorrow. I think. Did I show the what year is this? The 88 and the 98 media guide?
I don't think so.
Oh no, you have not. Hold on. We have an impromptu
Ooh.
show and tell. Hold on. Let's get
Technology.
the technology going.
Yeah.
Look at that. Man, that's
And then-
right.
And you flip it around, you got the schedule from that year, and you got a
Oh, it's
couple
so
of those.
nice.
Pretty good schedule. So it was a little impromptu. I had it over here. I was showing
Man,
somebody
there's
yesterday.
so many people that let's Dan Morgan, so many people that grew into like legends.
Yeah, you
Damian
got
Lewis.
got some pretty good guys. I was at I remember that year. In fact,
Yeah.
that was a pretty
I think won the car. I think at the time was the CarQuest Bowl. Was that the end?
Yeah,
the
Kenny Kelly was the quarterback, and
Yeah, and it was and then the next year, 99.
they start setting the table for that run.
Yeah, and then it
Maybe we'll go more in depth on that tomorrow night. That book. There's some really good pictures in there too.
Yeah, we can do that. As Melissa said, there is a women's basketball game today.
Oh,
So
wow.
We'll be heading out to the to Watsco. It's free admission because it's an exhibition.
What is it?
game.
A exhibition game?
Yeah, it's the one exhibition. The season starts in a week. The men and women play a week from Monday for their first
Nice.
regular season game, but this is an
That's
Say
exhibition.
hello to
Crazy.
Carson Beck. He'll probably be there.
I think he probably not, but I don't think Ferguson, the Cowboys tight end, will be there either. But so that's tomorrow, and then the men have an exhibition game on Wednesday, and then next season
Nice.
starts. So we'll be out at the Watt later today to take that in, and then of course we have Six Rings Kane, our regular show tomorrow night at 8:30, as always on this channel. Blue, DJ, thanks for hanging out with me on this Sunday
Thank you.
morning.
Going to watch Tua avoid getting another concussion.
Okay, you're heading back out to the stadium for the Dolphins Cardinals game.
Going to watch Drake May. We'll see what he does today. So
I am going to peacefully pretend like the Cowboys don't exist. So we will.
There you go.
We will go enjoy the women's basketball game instead. Although the Cowboys play tonight, so we'll probably end up
Enjoy.
All right.
enjoy.
All right, thanks everyone, and we'll see you all again tomorrow.
The Six Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The Six Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The Six Rings Kane Show. You know.